Well, welcome to another episode of Out of the Blank Podcast. I'm here with Ben.
Hey, Robbie, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, brother. Why don't you let me know how Ben's doing? Because let me tell you something. It's cold as shit. I don't know why. Yesterday was like a nice 65 here, and then I came out this morning and it was like one of those, like, this is what I love, is my car is old. So there's no auto start. There's no heat up features. There is, you get in the car, you turn it on, you wait for that damn heat to come on, and you freeze your ass off. I'm sitting there rubbing my hands together like son of a bitch.
Yeah, you got to warm that thing up. I got like a 350 diesel, so like if I don't go out and start it 10 minutes before I leave, it doesn't want to move. Like it's just a hog when it's cold. So I got to go out and turn it on and warm it up and go in, make my coffee, and then come back out.
I appreciate cars that are old like that because you know the heat always works and they're usually always going to start. Like every time when it comes to new cars, I hear so many people like, I don't know, the computer system they said was off and my car wouldn't start. I'm like, dude, that's what scares me as a mechanic. If you approach somebody's car and like, how the fuck do you open up the trunk? How do you open up the hood? I don't know. But then it's like you have to hook a computer up to it and they can send like, it's a faulty wire here or this is uncalibrated wrong. It's like, what happens to the day where it's just the spark plugs? And then somebody would like mess with you and be like, go get blinker fluid. And then you would go to the store and ask the guy around for like an hour and a half.
Yeah. Back in the days when it was fuel, spark, and air, that's what you needed to make the car go.
Or if you want to go farther than that, let's go horse and buggy. I like that because I feel like texting on a horse, the horse is going to know that there's a car in front of it or there's another buggy
Yeah.
in front of it. It's going to stop.
Well, I mean, shit, they got like getting towards self-driving cars, which is kind of cool because driving kind of sucks. But also, I don't know if I trust computers that much.
I don't trust anything that much. I don't trust, like McDonald's, for instance, they have breakfast all day. I think that is an issue because even your mom won't make you breakfast at like 3 p.m. Like this doesn't happen. You're not having pancakes for dinner unless it's like a special night. Like somebody got into an argument and then next you know you're after the pancakes, you find out your parents are getting separated.
That's why.
They call it divorce pancakes.
Well, and the McDonald's thing too. Like the only reason I ever went to McDonald's was for the breakfast, and so like I was super excited when they first announced that they were coming out doing breakfast all day. I was like, okay, I got a reason to go to McDonald's in the afternoon now. But then they jacked up the prices. Like an egg McMuffin's like twice as much as it used to be now.
I like it because Egg McMuffins are like, whenever I smell it, I immediately get so happy. But then now they're serving it all day. So like I'm at my gym or something working and I don't eat for like another 8 hours because I just go like from like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Just nothing, no lunch or anything. I'm just like, I'm fine. If I start working, I'm not going to be hungry. And someone brings in like a breakfast McMuffin or something. I smell it. I'm like, I'm either having a stroke or that's the most beautiful thing I've ever smelled.
Yeah, I could go for one right now, actually.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what it is they put on the bread. It's like that dust or whatever it is, that yeast or something. It's like sand, and it's like amazing though. It's not like when you were a kid and you would have like a peanut butter sandwich on a beach, and then somehow, even though you opened it perfectly out of the little Ziploc bag, there was still sand in it, and you ate it anyway because you were like, "Fuck it," who cares? At least I did. I don't care. You got Skippy on that motherfucker. Sand or no sand, I don't care. I'll take it with it.
It's just crunchy peanut butter now.
Were you a crunchy or creamy guy?
Oh, I'm a creamy guy all the way.
I fall back and forth. I used to be nothing but the creamy, but then I found sometimes I like that variety, like a little bit of crunch in there. Like if you could imagine it to be so many things. Like it's not just a peanut with peanuts. It's a finger. I bit someone's finger. Someone accidentally was making peanut butter and sliced off the finger.
Yeah, I always hated spreading it as a kid. Trying to get it on the fucking bread was just such a nightmare.
You had a pain with it too? Because I always used the steak knife to where the bread was cut up like it had been like dropped down the garbage disposal. And my dad's like, how many bites do you get into that sandwich before you actually hit peanut butter? I'm like, it's in the middle of the sandwich and everything else around it is bread. So you're like choking on bread the whole time. And then you get just a giant glob of peanut butter where you end up dying. And he goes, that sounds painful. I'm like, well, we don't have any other knives. He goes, there's plenty in the dishwasher. I'm like, but that's in the dishwasher and this one's in the drawer.
I'm making a peanut butter sandwich. This is decidedly low effort. Okay. If I wanted to put some effort in, I'd make a fucking like ham and cheese. Okay.
We can make a new reality show. How lazy can you be? And then it's just like laying down. It's like, hey, do you have to go to the bathroom? Nah, I bought a whole pack of hugs. I'm good. I'm good.
Yep.
Well, I know you don't
Yep.
want to talk about people urinating themselves in chairs, Ben. Why don't you tell me a little about yourself, man?
Well, I live in what is generally sunny California. I'm up in the northern half of the state. It rained for the first time this season yesterday, which was nice. It gets fucking dry here in the summer.
That dry
And,
heat, it's like a dumb dry heat.
yeah, and I build houses for a living. I've got a podcast with my buddy John called Geeksploration, the podcast, and we also write comic books.
Oh, okay. So that's where the geek stuff comes in. Now we talking about
Yes.
geek culture, and what about geek culture do you love specifically?
I a lot of it, I guess. I don't know. I just like it's just the kind of stuff I've been interested in. I don't know if there's anything specific about the culture itself that really gets me going. It's just like I like Ghostbusters and comic books and cartoons and shit like that.
How'd you feel? Okay, okay. How'd you feel about the new Ghostbusters?
I didn't really like it.
Why?
Um,
You didn't like Chris Hemsworth?
I mean, his Chris Hemsworth, I guess, was okay. He was a little bit of a stupid character, but I don't know. I just don't see. I didn't see why it needed to be a Ghostbusters movie. I guess it was just the comedy was a little bit on the nose, and I don't know. I just didn't really enjoy it.
I think there's just some movies you shouldn't bring back. Like everything's getting redone and revamped. I'm like, some of it should stay classic. Like some of my favorites is like I like the Wolverines. I love all the X-Men movies and stuff. But then like they started going a little bit too far, where it started falling out of the realm of what the original X-Men were, and like started going off into side characters. And I get that, and that's cool and all, but like I want to see a movie on Nightcrawler. I want to see a movie like the ones that have these badass powers that don't really get talked about. Like geek culture for me, it goes from gaming to everyone. It seems like has an obsession with superhero movies since Marvel has made like the biggest spark in their history possible. But then there's like the new Spider-Man. I'm not a big fan of him. I hate Tom Holland. I like the old Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, I heard you mention that on one of your previous shows. Not a Tom Holland fan, huh?
Him and Jerry Seinfeld, those two.
You don't like Jerry Seinfeld either?
No, I don't like Seinfeld. I honestly haven't even seen an episode. I think it's like it might have been funny at the time, but like I was a Friends guy. I like Jennifer Aniston, and there's nobody hot on Seinfeld. It's just a bunch of people whining and complaining.
Oh, they're all terrible people.
There you go.
But I didn't go there for a moral lesson in how to be a good person. I went there because it was funny.
I still don't find it funny. I
Didn't
look
you
at
just say
Jerry Seinfeld like Steve Buscemi. They look like bugs to me.
Uh, but no, on your topic of like rebooting shit, I'm fully with you. I'm a big fan of like if you have a good story to tell a good story, and but don't just keep digging stuff up from the grave to make to monetize it, because people are going to go see another Star Wars movie or people are going to go see another Marvel movie.
Yeah, like the classic Star Wars were a lot better in my opinion, only on the aspect of they really got you hooked in on the credit of what the director had to go through to be able to create so many designs for things. It seems like with the new stuff, they really rely heavily on the budget and like the CGI, where it's like so much is going on at once, and it might be amazing filming and camera thing, but that's not why you watch Star Wars. You watch Star Wars to try and bond with the movie and connect with the characters. That's why it became so popular. Like everyone has a fascination with technology and wanting to evolve so fast. But I'm like, there are some things I would like to go back to a retro state. I would like to be able to go back to the days when the Wii was a thing. Like you would actually have to play bowling with your family, or then you got lazy and figured you can bowl sitting down. And it was like, that was the fun stuff. Like when things meant more, like you go to the arcade and shit, like playing Mortal Kombat on a stand-up arcade machine. That was the shit.
I've built two different like man-sized arcade machines with like MAME on them. So they had, I think I had like 7,800 games on them.
Can I come
And
over to your house and play?
yeah, well, I don't have them anymore. Like when I sold the last one when I moved from Houston back to California because it weighed like 300 pounds and I was just sick of fucking moving it around the country. So I sold it to some kids, some college kids there that I guess hauled it up to their second story apartment.
It's like the one thing I thought I wanted to do when I was an adult until I played Sims and I built a vending machine in my house and I realized this is stupid. Like when I play Sims, I go all out crazy where like people are like, "Why do you have a pool in the basement?" I'm like, "Why not?" Like this is my fantasy life and this is what I want. That's what I honestly thought life was going to be like, was like a game of Sims. Like I was going to be like, "Oh, I'm 22, got my own place, got a vending machine. I can have Funyuns at any time I want. And I have an arcade machine." Then I'm on Facebook Marketplace looking through shit. It's like $5,000 for that? Are
Well,
you kidding me?
a vending machine's an investment. I mean, that's something that you buy to sell shit to other people. The cool thing about being an adult though is without a vending machine, you can still have Funyuns anytime you want. You don't need to have a vending machine for that.
That's not my go-to snack. If I'm going to the like vending machine, I'm not picking Funyuns. I'm picking something else. That is a terrible choice.
What's your jam? What is your vending?
I like the peanut butter crackers they give out.
Oh yeah, those little like yeah, they just got the crackers with the peanut butter between them.
They're orange. And you're like, why the hell is it orange? But it's like the good type of
Like a
orange.
Yeah,
Like
it's got like a picture of a little farmhouse on it or some shit.
yeah, like the orange that doesn't get stuck to your fingers when they're wet. Like if you go for anything else orange, it's usually Doritos, and that gets stuck to your fingers, which is really weird that they had a commercial where the person would suck off your fingers for the Doritos dust. I'm like,
Yeah, don't put. I tell that to my kids all the time. Like, don't put fingers in your mouth. They're probably the dirtiest, filthiest thing on your body. Don't put them in your mouth.
I can name a couple places that might be dirtier than my fingers.
No, I don't know. A lot of people scratch those things with their fingers.
Oh my God, that's a very good point.
Fucking fingers are gross, man. They're on fucking all kinds of stuff.
Why do we shake hands? That's why I fist bump people.
Yeah, right. I mean, we don't anymore.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's gone too. Wow.
I guess maybe that lesson will stick.
I love it when someone grabs hand sanitizer and dumps it on their hands instead of washing them. I'm like, does that do the same thing? Because honestly, I always just use Germex to sniff it afterwards. Like after school, you used to be like, I'm not awake. It's still in the morning. You would pop a little Germex in your hands and just go, and then your eyes would start watering up.
I'm alive.
It's never felt so alive. It's like PCP for kids. It's like when lunch. That's what I talk about is at school when they used to give you like the free breakfast or the breakfast in the mornings. People would try and sell like their chocolate milk. I was like, this is the start of drug deals. Like all these people that were selling and all this, yo, that's 25 cents for a chocolate milk. If you really want to get your fix, I'm gonna give you this fix of chocolate milk, like that Cloverland Dairy, baby. You about to get hooked up on some Cloverland Dairy. It's like they were educating kids for drugs as they got older.
Like, I know your mom doesn't let you have this chocolate shit.
Dude, they had sausage biscuits at school. That's where my childhood obesity came from because I would eat Fruity Pebbles at home and then go right to school. Be like, well, they have sausage biscuits. And at that point, you're forced. I say that you're forced to have the sausage biscuits. Well, they made me eat the sausage biscuits. It's like that was the whole excuse.
Man, my school's never had breakfast.
Where did you grow up?
California, but it was, I was in elementary school like 30 years ago, so they just didn't do breakfast then.
Wow, that's sad.
Yeah, like my kids get like right now they're going to school like halftime because of COVID. So like in the afternoon, like they do online shit in the morning and then they go to school in the evening or like in the afternoon, and they send them home with these bags full of fucking food that has like breakfast for the next day and a lunch in it. So it's got like frozen burritos and like waffles.
Wait, they give them free food to go?
Yeah, to go home because they're only there for like 3 hours. So they don't actually feed them at school because they don't want all the kids congregating.
So why don't they just leave them with nothing? Like,
right? I don't know. But my daughter, like, she eats like half of this stuff, if that, but she'll take food from anybody. So like everybody that doesn't want their food gives it to her. So she comes home every day with this fucking giant bag, like full of frozen burritos and shit. And just leaves it on the counter. And so my freezer is just brimming with random school food right now, which is kind of fun. It's got like these little mini cheeseburgers. They're shitty. They're not that good, but it's food, and I just can't bring myself to throw food away. So it's just piling up.
You don't have to buy groceries anymore.
No, not as much. That's like I think I've got 30 plums in my fridge right now because it
What
comes home with like 4 of
fucking
them a
kid
day. So
has plums?
they send them home with plums or these tiny little apples. And so I got a shit ton of both of those. So I was thinking about like tomorrow making some like plum jam because I'm not going to eat all these plums. There's too many fucking plums.
That's when I noticed that the wealth class was real, when some kids would have different lunches that were better than mine, where I was like, I got some carrots, some grapes, and a snack pack. And then some kid whips out like fucking pretzels or Doritos or something. I'm like, oh, your parents love you more? Or
Holy
your
shit, his
parents
lunch
have
is
more money?
name brands.
Damn it. He just poured out a freaking Pepsi, and next thing you know, like a whole school's bowing down to the child with the Pepsi.
Oh, that's the fucking barter shit. I remember that. The kids that would come to school with soda and they could get whatever they wanted. Like they trade that shit for anything.
Then it was like a big deal to trade like video games in school. At least when I was there, like some kids would bring like an Xbox game. Like I got that. That's what I missed. Blockbuster or those video game rental places. I like that more than Redbox or any of those other things. I like the interaction of going to the store and walking down the line of movies and then picking one out or picking out a game.
Yeah, the I walking physically down the aisles and seeing all the covers. Like I remember that as a kid going into Blockbuster and like going through like the horror section. Like I wasn't allowed to rent any of that shit, but you could see the covers and they always had awesome horrific covers. So like your imagination can start running wild on, what exactly is Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Well, it's a bunch of people going, it's basically the idea of never going on road trips. It's like when I see a person go sailing or something, I'm like, I just commit to never seeing them again. So I just wave goodbye and say like, I'm never going to see you again. I wish you well in the afterlife. Because most of the time people that are going sailing are like, I just bought a boat, I'm going to go sailing halfway across the world. It's like, have you ever sailed before? No, but I want to have fun doing it. It's like, all right, you're gonna die. You
If they
are
could do it
never
300
coming
years
back.
ago, why can't I?
I could sail around the world. Magellan did it. I'm like, yeah, you keep that up
It
there. Christopher
it actually
Columbus.
it killed Magellan.
He died?
Yeah, he died at the end of that. Like he like I can't remember what it was. He got some sort of illness and ended up dying right at the end.
I'm not talking shit on Magellan anymore. I don't like to talk shit on dead people.
Well, I mean, regardless of how he died, he's been
He
dead
was an
for
amazing man.
he was definitely dead already.
Oh.
Like a few hundred years ago. So
What do you think about geek culture has made it so big that it is today? Because it seemed like back in the day, like Dungeons and Dragons was considered geek culture, but it's the norm. Like a lot of people
yeah.
talk about it. I think it's because at the time it was seen really dumb and stupid to play video games because it was seen like you're 30 years old and you're fucking playing
It's
like you're
kid stuff.
yeah, but you're acting like you're Batman. That's what the mentality was. But then it's like things started getting so advanced where it was like it's not really that anymore. Like you can win competitions off of it now. But then it's like everybody acts like they know more than you when it comes to superheroes and all this stuff. I'm like, stop. Stop. The Green Lantern was a good movie. And that's it.
I mean,
Don't you dare.
it was I don't know if it was a good movie. I mean, it wasn't it was not a good movie. I could it's been a long time since I saw it. I saw it in the theaters in the shittiest, most Florida theater I've ever been in.
That's why, because the whole theater was crappy.
Maybe. I don't feel that that's 100% true, but maybe I'll have to go back and rewatch it. But this theater, it was just a big room. It was flat. It had like cocktail tables that you'd sit at, and a ceiling fan.
That sounds fucking awful.
It was ridiculous. It was so Central Florida.
That's like when I went to the before COVID and everything, when our movie theater was open, we had a new one built after like 10 years of not having one in that spot. And they were like, we're going to serve alcohol. And I was like, this is going to go great. And then next thing you know, I'm sitting in the theater and some dude goes to the front seat. He drops his phone like on like the in the front row, like drops it right on the ground before he even goes to bend down to pick it up. He just passes out and hits head first. I'm like, what the like And then he's just on the ground groaning. And my buddy's like, "Oh my God, we're not gonna be able to watch Ford versus Ferrari." I'm like, "There's a guy like dying on the front row right now. And where's the dude with the light stick that would come in and be like, yay, like, where's that guy at?" No, the dude just laid there.
Now they're cleaning up popcorn and vomit.
I don't understand why they thought that. I think they always cleaned up vomit, to be honest with you.
Just more of it now.
What would you say, like with the podcast, for instance, like Geeksploration? What do you guys typically focus on? Like analyze each episode, just a different topic?
So yeah, like we every other week we do like our full episode where we go in and just pick a topic and dive into it. Sometimes it's a movie, sometimes it's we've done like Batman and Weird Al and a bunch of other stuff that I'm blanking on right now. But we pick something and we go into it. Like our last episode was on Zardoz in honor of Sean Connery passing.
Who the hell is Zardoz?
Oh, Zardoz is. You should go just Google the trailer for Zardoz after this, and it'll give you a great impression of kind of what that movie is. It is probably easily the weirdest, most out there movie Sean Connery ever did. He spends most of it running around in double bandoliers and red underpants and knee-high boots.
Sounds like some things I can see in Florida.
Yeah, it would fit right in. But it's the tagline, like the tagline of the movie, or one of the taglines of the movie is "Guns are good, go out and kill, or go forth and kill."
That movie would not be able to be done today.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It fucking it shot like knowing that on the trailer and then like going into the movie. The next line after that in the actual movie is "Guns are good, go forth and kill. The penis is evil." And I'm just like, wait, what?
How much stuff do you come across that's like, oh, this would not be done today? Like they couldn't revamp it.
Oh, I mean, loads of stuff. I mean, more and more every year it seems. Just the width and breadth of things that are no longer appropriate just seems to be growing at an exponential pace.
I want to cancel Mortal Kombat. I don't think it's nice to see a person get their spine ripped out and then thrown through someone's asshole. I think that is terrible for children.
I don't think it's made for children anymore. Like that's for adults.
That's what I'm saying. Video games have opened up to everyone now. It's not just kids anymore.
Well, yeah, because when I was a kid, like it was when I remember when I got an NES, like it was a toy. It was a thing you bought for children. It was not a thing adults played. Adults mowed lawns and changed oil and went to work. They didn't play video games.
It used to be so like hard or different on the spectrum when it came to video games. Like, you want to play Sonic, and then the next one's like, you want to go run over hookers in GTA. It's like, oh, here's where the shift comes in. Like it's not just for I guess it's for everyone, but they used to give you those warnings before you played video games where it was like, this one is prone to cause seizures with all the flashing lights. It's like the FBI warning in the beginning of the videotapes. Can't do that anymore because people just steal it, pirate it, download it, put it on whatever.
Yeah, I don't think it was the FBI warning that was stopping people from pirating it. I think it was the lack of ease.
First of all, I saw Be Kind Rewind with Jack Black. That's what it was. Have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't.
Dude, it's really good. People talk a lot. Honestly, don't take any of my movie opinions because I think Green Lantern's pretty good and everyone shits on everything I love. So I'm just tossing that out there.
Yeah, you've got some hot takes here.
I'm open to the best of the best movies and nobody ever wants to agree with me. Except Rotten Tomatoes. Sometimes they hit on like the perfect level with me.
You know what? Fuck them. They don't need to agree with you. Like what you like.
I will walk shirtless with a bandolier, bullets wrapped around my waist or chest.
Yeah, you should.
That's America. It's like when you see the people in Walmart that are on the scooters that don't need it, and you're like, you're just lazy. It's like, yes, I am.
I did that when I was a kid. Like when I was a teenager, I was a shithead as a teenager. That was a real asshole.
How do you define asshole?
I was just a prick. Like I was just deliberately rude. Like it was a game to like go into stores and see what we could do to get kicked out.
Wow, really?
And fuck around until they would be like, you need to leave now or we're calling the police.
I'd always get kicked out because I would keep asking for more jerky out of the thing out front.
Oh no, like yeah, we just like run in and like knock stuff off the shelves or run around and scream, play tag or like grab pool noodles and just throw them at people. And
Where are you shopping where there's pool noodles?
like Walmart.
So when I get upset, I just went into Walmart and they started playing Christmas music. I'm like, we're in November. Like, stop. Like, I'm not. This year has gone by pretty quick. A lot of it seems like a bit of a blur, and it seems like most of it has been spent inside of my house, only because we've been on lockdown for like 7 months. But it's like I'm not ready for the seasons. What's Christmas gonna be like? I don't know what I want. I'm just kind of floating on by right now.
Yeah, I was in fucking Home Depot on October the 10th, and they shrunk their Halloween setup down and put Christmas shit up on October fucking 10th.
Damn.
Like that's insane.
I went to Walmart the day after Halloween to get all the off-sale candy. I'm like, did it expire already? Like, no, but we don't have a need for it until next Halloween. I'm like, well, you might want to save it till February because you're going to be putting it up then.
Yeah. Well, but it's all the wrong theme then. It doesn't have bunnies on it and shit. It's got
I forgot about
bunnies,
Easter.
that shit. Yeah. Like it's all got bats and pumpkins and shit on it. So
Why are you limiting me to only bats on Halloween? Maybe I want bats on Christmas. Maybe I want Santa Claus on Halloween, like Krampus.
yeah. I bet they had a fuck ton of candy left over too, because trick or treating was pretty lackluster this year, unless they, just didn't order as much.
I feel like some people were still like, fuck it, and still went out.
Oh yeah,
I didn't go. I just looked at it like, how old till you stop trick or treating? Now I just have to have a kid to where I have an excuse to go.
yeah. No, that's usually what I do. I, walk around with the kids and then just eat their candy, pick through it, and select the best stuff.
It's what we call dad tax, my friend.
Absolutely.
And you get the dad tax all those burritos. I'm surprised you're not eating those things. Are you kidding me? That is a score.
I ate 2 of them for lunch yesterday. I'm eating the shit out of those things. Just like I said, my daughter takes whatever gets handed to her, so she comes home with like 4 lunches a day.
That's how the hell did you what? Why? Wait, your daughter takes everything that's handed to her. Do you not
Yep.
tell her that that's how people get abducted?
No, she's coming home with good food, man. She's doing her duty.
It's like when it's like when I saw the movie Signs, and I thought I didn't know what being a father, when they called him father in the movie, Mel Gibson's character, is because he was a priest. I thought they were just calling. I thought that's what you called older men, was father. So I called my dad dad, and I would go around in the store, be like, "Hey father, hey father, hey father," and my dad's like, "Are you calling these people father?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's what you do, right?" He goes, "No, no, no," and I'm like, "Oh, so every grown man isn't my father?" He goes, "You're gonna be abducted." Like that's what my dad was just like, "Yo, like." We need to not let you skateboard in the driveway anymore. You need to come inside now.
No, we used to joke that when my daughter was like 1, that she was like a kidnapper's dream, because she would just walk up to strangers and like put her arms out and be like, "Hey, pick me up." Like she was not shy at all. Like we'd be in a restaurant, she'd walk over to another table and just like try and climb up in someone's lap and be like, "No, get over here. Quit bugging those people."
That's terrible. Oh my God. It makes me think of like, how many times has there been a case where a kid has gotten picked up in a white van by a stranger and the guy actually took him to like an amusement park and then dropped him off at home? That kid would be messed up for the rest of his life, or he's going to keep thinking that's the way everyone's going to do it.
Like, oh, good. There's another white van with, free puppies spray painted on the side.
That's some messed up stuff I did as a kid. I would see a white van and I would yell at them and scream, "Give me back my brother." And I would chase them down the street as they were going around a corner and people would just look. It's terrible.
Yeah, my buddy in high school had one of those white molester vans.
I'm sorry, when you said that word, it was just, I wasn't expecting it. You just tossed it out like it was candy at a parade.
It's a molester van. It's the kind of van a molester gets. And he looked like one too.
Have you ever been in a scenario where you might have been abducted or put in that situation?
I'm not sure.
I've had a close
as
call.
a kid, I'm not sure if as a kid I would have the, the presence of mind or the awareness to even know if I was, honestly.
See, I asked that question because I've been interested in cults recently, and I start to realize everything was a cult. Like kindergarten, putting hand turkeys up in the window with red paint was like that could be Native Americans. Like it's this whole thing where I was like, wait a minute, was it a cult or was it free labor? Think about it.
I mean, I don't think the two are mutually exclusive.
I spent 4 months building a garden for my first grade class, and then I went to second grade, didn't get to fucking enjoy it at all.
Nice. Well, they're using kids properly. I try and use my kids for free labor, but they're not. The thing about kids, they're shit at most things. They
Are
don't do anything
about are they shit at most things, or they just want you to think that they're shit at most things?
I probably a little bit of both.
It's like when
I,
I do the
I,
dishes, I just throw them in the dishwasher. Like, you got to wash them off. I'm like, oh, I
yeah.
didn't know.
Yeah, my daughter did that, and it worked because my wife got so frustrated. She said, "All right," that she took the dishes back from her, and so my daughter also takes the garbage out, and she's been doing a shitty job of that. And I'm like, I'm not going to take this from you. This is your job. I'm going to get you up at 6 a.m. when I'm leaving for work because I see trash on the driveway and make you pick it up. So start doing it right.
You didn't separate the plastic in the blue bins, damn it.
Oh,
Welcome to the world of 2020. I'm waiting for video games because I recently bought the newest Assassin's Creed. And what I love
nice.
about this series is they kind of teach you history in a more alternative way. Like I learned about Leonardo da Vinci, I learned about all these other types of things. I think that's what video games should
Hey,
evolve
Robbie, I
into.
lost your audio. I can't hear you.
Are you sure you can't hear? After experiencing technical difficulties, we're back. Should I have
Yeah.
given you the countdown like the 5, 4, 3, 2?
Nope. I think I can roll with the punches here.
That makes sense. I'm trying to figure out a geek topic because I don't know what you consider geek. Sometimes I like to classify bugs, but I feel like that's more nerd culture.
I don't know. I'm into that shit too. I spent like 30 minutes yesterday trying to figure out what this bird that was in my front yard was.
I've never bird watched, but I can tell you the best leveler for kids. Everyone talks about like getting a goldfish will get them used to death, like things die. I think that happened with butterflies too. In my first grade, the one that they used us for free labor, we had butterfly like little like caterpillars would grow, and then some kids' caterpillars wouldn't hatch from their cocoon, and
Oh
it
yeah.
was like, holy shit. What type of cult is this? Like it was
You
like
fucked up, kid.
I think back on it, like imagine there's a guy out there my age from like my first grade class that's just like, I killed that butterfly. And like he just went down this depressive spiral where his life has been a lie his whole entire time. It makes me think like, oh, that could have really went badly.
Yeah, everything started going wrong after that caterpillar didn't
Probably
hatch.
bad luck if you kill a butterfly, right? Or a caterpillar.
I don't know. Hopefully not. I'm sure I've killed a number of them.
I've killed probably a lot of ants. I hope that's like
I've killed
if
fuck.
you toss it out like you just go and stomp on anthills like it's no reason.
I did when I was living in the South, man. They've got the fucking those like the fire ants.
Yeah, dude, those are pains in the ass, man. We used to have
Yeah.
I used to have a pool at my grandparents' house in Florida. And we would run into the grass and then run into the pool, like do like a running sprint to the pool. And there was an anthill at like the one longest part of our yard, and we just kept going over there, and they're red ants. So they would bite our feet before we jumped in the pool. Yo, that's pain, man. Like
Yeah. Oh yeah, they'll fucking get you.
you see those people on like the nature shows that are like, I'm gonna let this hornet sting me. Its horns more powerful than 50,000 stings. And I'm like, you're gonna die, and I don't know why I'm watching this.
Yeah, it feels like getting shot. You're like, oh, that seems like something I would volunteer for.
Is that a job you would ever want to do? Like, what would be the worst job in your mind?
The worst job? Um, I don't know, jobs you acclimate to them. Like for a long time, I thought like oh, I could never work in an office. Like sitting at a desk all day would fucking suck. I don't think I could do that. And then because I like I mentioned earlier, I do construction. So like then in like 2010, construction disappeared, and like there wasn't anything going on. It was just dead. And I ended up going out and working for BP on that big oil spill out in the Gulf Coast, doing like cleanup restoration work. But I was in the office. I was in like the planning department. So I was at an office for 6 years. I was sitting behind a desk all day long, and yeah, it wasn't that bad. Like I mean, it was it was totally different than anything I'd ever done before, but it was tolerable. So I think with work, like even if it was like shoveling shit with your hands, like it would suck at first, but eventually you acclimate and it's work and you just move on.
Do you think that mentality still works for the person that has to clean up at a brothel?
Yeah, yeah, it all just becomes stuff. Like I mean, when I started that job, I was working 7 days a week, 12 to 16 hours a day for like the first 2.5 months. I didn't have a day off,
Yeah,
and
but
you just fucking get used to it.
cleaning up after human like release.
Well, I don't know. I had a buddy that his job was crime scene cleanup.
That's a fucking job and a half.
Yeah, well, I mean that was his job, and again, it just turned into a job. Like he's always making jokes. Like he worked there, and then he worked at a mortuary, where he was doing embalming and cremations and shit. And like and it becomes a job. Everything becomes casual. Like he was telling me a story like once where they got to a house where like the person died in there, and like no one had seen him for like 3 weeks, and they found him in the bathtub, and the water was just completely black. It just smelled awful. And it's sitting there. It's like they're grabbing the body to try and pull it up. And they like, each of them grabbed an arm, and all the flesh just like peeled off the arms as they tried to pull the guy out of the tub. And he was telling this like a funny work story. So like whatever you're doing, if you're doing it every day, it gets normal.
How does a person enjoy an egg McMuffin after something like that? Like I'm just thinking, like you ever hear the weird stories people tell like at breakfast or lunch if you go to like Denny's or something, they like toss out like one time I ran over a squirrel and its head just went like I'm eating waffles, bro. Like why are you gonna tell me you killed an animal on the road? And then you hear that over an egg McMuffin?
Yeah. No, like I said, everything gets normal no matter what you're doing. I think the worst job you could have is one where you're just miserable. Like the worst job I've ever had was doing construction, which I love, but it was in Houston. I was working for a guy that he was just a shitty, unscrupulous dude. And basically he would lie to or not lie, but I mean, he would overpromise to the homeowner. So like when I started a job, like started building the house, we were already like 3 months behind, and it was always over budget. And he was just, it was I had angry customers on one side and an angry, boss on the other side, and none of it, and had the power to do nothing about any of it. And it was fucking miserable.
I feel like I've seen a lot of videos of like people that talk about like in construction jobs, for instance, where like somebody said like, no, it's supposed to do this, or it's like Cobra Kai, for instance, where the woman's like, I wanted the television by the door, and he's like, this is by the door. She goes, that door. Why would I want it there? I'm like, yo, I could not do that because like trying to do anything that's construction, like I was a kid, I built a fort in my backyard, it didn't last. Okay, so like trying to do something like build a shelf in my room, for instance, I built this shelf. Took me about an hour and a half. I was sitting there like, how do I get this up there? And then everything was always off level. And I was like, all right, well, I'm trying to put a bunch of like bottles of hot sauce on it. Everything starts falling over. I just like, I can't do this. As you get stressed out and you just want to quit.
Yeah, everyone's got their fucking thing they're good at.
I'm good at
And
playing the
their things.
bagpipes.
And you play the bagpipes?
Fuck no. I played a flute once in elementary school and I was
Oh.
terrible at it. I played hot cross buns and my dad said, you should just give up. I said, fine. Didn't want to
It's
play
like,
anyway.
it's like I don't want to hear that shit. You're really bad at it. Stop. Yeah, my son is learning the trombone.
That all right. See, I always wanted to play saxophone, but it costs way too much money. So my dad's like, I play drums. Why don't I just get you drumsticks? So I eventually would play drums in school, and I played for the chorus band, and I had the crash cymbals because that was my favorite thing in the freaking world. The commanding power. I would act like they were
Yeah.
shields, and I would like fake fight in the back. Well, my teacher was like, "We're gonna film this, so if you act up at this final concert." you're suspended from my class. I'm going to make sure you get put in alternative education. He warned the whole class. It was a big, serious event. A lot of
What?
people were showing up, and it was seventh grade. Name was Mr. Mundrick. Tossing him out there if he hears this. He knows he's a douche. But I remember playing, and my family was in the front row. And so we were playing Star Spangled Banner. I fucked up so bad. I missed the point to come in. So I hit, and then it was the part where you had to keep hitting it like over and over again.
Yeah.
Came in half cocked on that one too. So halfway in where I just start coming in, and I went way to the end of the song where I was supposed to stop like a minute prior, where there was a moment of silence and shit. I just kept doing it. And then I put them down, and that was my only thing throughout that concert. So I just stood on a chair in the back and was like dancing to a lot of the songs they were playing. And my dad was laughing his ass off. But then we looked at the video the next day, and he was like, "There's fucking Robbie." And I'm like, oh, what's going to happen to me? And he made it seem like I was going to die, or I was going to get taken in one of those vans.
That's where the bad kids go. Well, I mean, you're a bunch of kids. Of course, they're going to screw off and, you know, I don't know, trying to treat a bunch of kids like, you know, this is a serious performance, and you know, this really matters. Like, no, it doesn't. And that's one of the things you don't realize until you're out of school, is that all that shit that they told you really mattered. That didn't really matter that
I
much.
haven't came across one Shakespeare play in my entire life after I graduated. I did not need to know anything about Edgar Allan Poe. Half the shit I learned about history apparently is wrong compared to the rest of the world. So like, I'm like, well, my life is a lie. I didn't realize it wasn't serious until college, when I asked the teacher if I can go to the bathroom, and they're like, "Why the fuck are you asking me? You're an adult, just go." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm in the real.
Yeah.
This is the real thing."
And that's also the point where, yeah, they don't generally, like, you don't have to go to class. No one's going to bust your balls for not going to class. You might fail, but no one's going to yell at you about it.
Yeah, they
It's
make it
on
like
you.
you don't have to go anymore. If you want to spend money and not go, then fine. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm spending money to go here. I need to go. So then you never really called out sick.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's why I dropped out of college, because like I was in there, I was doing it, and like I'd show up half the time. Like I'd get up some days and just be like, well, I could hit this bong and play some more PS2, or I could go to class. And that was a 50-50 swing on which way that was going to go. And so I ended up like dropping a lot of classes halfway through, because I was like, whoa, I did not show up for this class enough. I need to drop it. And then after a while, I was like, why am I paying for this? Like, I'll go back to school once I'm serious about doing it. Still haven't gotten there.
I had a class that started at 8:30 a.m. and then there was like a 6-hour break where my next class was like 3:30 p.m. or something. So I had to wait for 6 hours or go find something to do for 6 hours till my next class, because I live an hour away. So I was like, I'm not going to drive all the way home and then drive all the way back. So I just would go into this one room that was in a separate part of the building where there was nobody, like the lights were turned off. I wasn't supposed to be in there. I would just go in, lock the door, go onto the computer, and just start printing out articles. And when I mean printing out articles, cryptozoology shit, aliens, anything I wanted to freaking just learn about, I would just keep hitting Wikipedia, 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 just keep going and going to all these different things. Then a teacher caught me. And I was like, the door opened up. She's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." And I just got up, put all my stuff in my bag. It was like 800 pieces of paper about the Mayans and all this shit, put it in my book bag, started walking out. She goes, "Excuse me, what were you doing in there?" And I just start signing, like making up random hand signs, like I was deaf, and just kept walking. Like, when someone's like, okay, and keeps on walking, I just did that. And the next thing you know, I was fine. So I was like deathly scared
Yeah.
for like the next couple of days.
No, yeah, just like I was saying earlier, like if the biggest thing that would be different, if I went, like if you got transported with your brain back into like your childhood body in school, like I was kind of a dick, but I'd be so much more of a dick, because like it doesn't matter. Like, be like, oh, this is going on your permanent record, or you're going to be, your teacher yells at you. I was like, you know what? It doesn't really matter. Nothing that I do here is going to affect the rest of my life. All I need is to walk out the door with a diploma, and this is all bullshit under the bridge, man.
I would go
Fuck
so
all you guys.
if I could go back, I would go back to teach myself how to use the oven, because I recently discovered that like last month. But then also, just the other day, I'm not going to lie, I had a big contemplation of what life means and where I'm at in life because I fucked up mashed potatoes. I was making Instamash and it came out like clam chowder. I was so upset. I was like, how do I fix this? Do I freeze it? So I put it in the freezer. It worked. And then after like an hour, they all melted again. And I was like, damn it, it's soup. What am I going to do? I'm like, well, obviously, I just need to filter feed because apparently I can't successfully be an adult because I don't know how to balance my paycheck. I haven't built a credit score. I don't own a 401k. I don't have a home. And honestly, life hates me. I'm just going to play Xbox.
Right. Find what works for you.
And that's all my anxieties I usually poop out in the morning.
As long as you can pull that off, it's not bad. Like once you have kids, then like you actually have to take shit seriously. But like I remember in my 20s when I didn't have kids, it was great. Fucking had a blast.
But you
Life was largely meaningless, but it was a really fun meaningless.
But you love your kids now, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, I wouldn't change that for the world, but it's a different type of joy than the selfish I'm gonna sit here and play some video games and get drunk and play some music and fulfill my
You
my
can
base
still
urges.
do that. You just got to make the bedtime like 6 p.m. So then you have like the whole night.
Oh no, I mean I still do a lot of that. But it's just you can't just fuck off, like in my 20s, if I had a job I didn't like, I could just be like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to do something else. Like, that's like, I got a mortgage and kids and like responsibilities beyond my own, well-being. So like, sure, I'll be fine. I can make sure that I eat and and I'm find a place for me to sleep. But like, I've got other people I got to worry about now.
God, I hope I'm dead before all that stuff kicks in. Once
Well,
they
it doesn't
start
have
going, you need to own a home. You need to care about your health plan. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to
I mean,
sit here.
just be fastidious about where you put your ding dong and how you do it, and you won't ever have to deal with that if you don't want to.
Wait, you're telling me I have to raise the kid too? I can't just have it?
Yeah.
That really kind of chalks out my theory of what I wanted to do. I was like, I want to move to Hawaii, but I want to like for like a good 4 years, I was just going to bang like a bunch of chicks and then have a bunch of kids. But I was going to build a Mortal Kombat ring in Hawaii where every year after 18 years, these kids would come and find me and it would be like a fight. You have to fight, and the winner has to
Yeah,
fight me. So every year
they
it would be
just
like a new season.
they just get a ticket in the mail, a plane ticket in the mail to Hawaii, and says, "Come."
You have
And
been
they're like, "Oh,
accepted. I am your
yeah, like,
father.
oh, cool, free trip to Hawaii." And they show up, and there's just a darkened ring with fire all around it, and you standing there like Shao Kahn and pointing at them, you're like, "It is time for you to prove your mettle, child."
For people listening, I don't actually want to do this. I'm just saying I'd entertain the idea. There's someone out there like, oh my God, he's heartless.
By the time they get there, there's like 4 skulls on pikes. Like, view your brethren. You will join them soon.
You must fight for my love. You didn't even come and see my 7th grade recital. It's like, I don't give a shit about your 7th grade recital. There are no tears here, only tears of pain. And then you rip somebody's heart out of their chest.
Back to Mortal Kombat.
Well, hey, Ben, I appreciate you for doing the podcast, man. Is there any place you want people to find your podcast at, man?
Oh yeah, they can find us at geeksplorationpodcast.com. And right now, I guess I better plug this. We've got our comic book, Space Oddities, is live on Kickstarter presently. So
What's Space Oddities about?
it's like a kind of like a pulpy space comedy adventure. We're kind of like trying to, the goal is for it to kind of be the love child between like an Indiana Jones and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy space adventure. And it's about like the arc around now. It's about there's the crew of this ship called the Aftosa. Dirk and Jorge McSanchez, and they pick up a like a stowaway essentially jet
Fucking
who's
Dirk
looking
and
for
Jorge.
yep,
That is
looking for
amazing.
yeah, Jorge McSanchez, he's Scotsican.
Okay.
So it takes place like far in the future where humans have kind of spread throughout the galaxy, and so he comes from Scotsico, where the Scottish and the Mexican governments set up a colony.
I can dig it. Sounds like a little hint of Sean Connery right there.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so they pick up this girl who is looking or kind of stows away, and she's looking for her missing mother, who went missing, searching for some sort of fabled artifact of great power, and so adventure ensues. But it's live on Kickstarter right now, up through the end of the month. If you guys want to go check it out, we're trying to get it colored. The book's done. We're just looking to pay the colorist Dan Olvera to make it beautiful.
Well, I make sure I link it all in the description, man. I appreciate you for doing the podcast, and thanks for listening to this episode of Out of the Blank.